If you're currently applying for remote jobs from Nigeria or anywhere else in Africa, and every single one of your application gets auto rejected because of your location, then you honestly do not have to suffer that anymore because there is a platform for you. And that platform is exactly why I'm creating this video. I want to show you exactly what that platform is and how to get it. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cynthia Uzumba and I am a remote strategist. So what that simply means is that I help African freelancers become hireable. All right. So if you're new here, please do well to subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification, like, comment, and share this video because this is going to be a mind-blowing strategy to someone. Share it with someone who you think is also going to be benefiting from that. Stop using platforms that ghost you. So the name of the platform that allows you to apply from anywhere else in Africa, whether Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, wherever you are in Africa, is called stillhiring.com. And this very platform does the exact opposite of what those other platform ghost you does. Stillhiring.com is a live database of companies that are actively, recruiting, hiring right now. I don't mean hiring like 6 months ago or 3 months ago. I mean actively hiring right now. So what it means is that even if you're going to see this video in 3 months time, it means that the moment you get into that site, you're going to see a company that is ready to hire you right now if you have the right skills and the right experience. And the beautiful thing about stillhiring.com is that it is tracking international companies. Like it is actively tracking international companies. So what this means is that it is not just connecting you to local companies. Say for instance you're in Nigeria, it is connecting you to companies that are in Nigeria. No, it is actively tracking international companies that are also interested in hiring Africans, whether you're in Nigeria, wherever part of Africa that you are. There is no discrimination whatsoever. So now let's talk about how stillhiring.com actually works in real life. So the first thing you want to do is to head straight to stillhiring.com. Now you're going to find the list of companies that are actively recruiting. You're going to get overwhelmed. So instead of randomly scrolling and checking through all these companies, you're going to filter or look for companies that match your exact experience. Say, for instance, if you are into virtual assistants, you're going to look for operations or administrative roles. If you're also into customer support, you're going to look for customer support or customer success roles. If you're also in marketing, maybe a product marketer or a digital marketer, you're going to filter for companies that are actively hiring marketer. Trust me, the goal whenever you get into that site is to filter for companies that are actively hiring today. And that is actually one beautiful thing I love about stayhiring.com because it happens at the moment. So the moment you get there, you see stuff happening that day, that moment, not something that happened like 48 hours ago, few months ago, something that is happening at the point where you are, time where you just got in. And when you find these companies, don't just stop at the company's career page. And by the way, if you don't already know how to use company's career page to find jobs and apply to jobs, let me know in the comments and I'll make a detailed video about that. Anything for you, my loves. All right, so when you find these companies, don't just stop there. What do you do next? You open LinkedIn. Yes. So I always mention LinkedIn because LinkedIn is a good man on its own. It is undirected, but that's exactly like the whole trick and strategy, right? And when you get to this company's page, what you want to do next is to actually look for the people who are going to get you the job. So you want to look for the hiring manager, the recruiter, or the founder, even the head of operations, right? And what do you do once you find these people? You follow them, do not do anything else. So when you find these people, any of the persons that I've mentioned, either the founder, the head of operations, the recruiter, or the hiring manager, when you find them and you follow them, send them a connection request. And one beautiful thing I love about the LinkedIn method is that when you're sending someone a connection request, LinkedIn also asks if you would like to attach a message or you just want to send the connection request without a message. So that is your chance or opportunity to actually submit or embed your application inside of that connection. And yeah, I understand that the hiring managers always get tons and hundreds of messages and might mix yours. So this is where my other strategy comes into play. So what I do is after sending them the message and maybe 24 hours later, or even you can decide if you want to wait 24 hours or 12 hours later and you don't get a reply. So I go back to their profile and check through their recent post and make a comment. And right below the comment, I try to draw their attention to saying that, oh, I actually left them a message via their inbox. Now I always do not include that it is an application so that they can go and check it. Yeah, it sounds a bit tricky, but if you don't do it like that, they are never going to check it. But when you drop a thoughtful comment and then you let them know that, oh, you actually sent them a message, they will be curious to know what the message is about. So imagine they finally get it and search for your exact name and then get a message and it is an application. You're going to stand out because you already opened up from a place of expertise in the comment section. So you're not looking like you're begging, you're bugging them, you're spamming them. It looks like you're bringing value to the table. So that is exactly how I do my outreach strategy. Very, 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 intentional. Most people just apply for jobs and they're off. No, I don't do that. I don't just apply and I'm off. I do what very few persons do, and that is called positioning, either before or after the application. And trust me, that is what actually increases your chances of getting remembered, you know, booked for an interview and also getting hired. And now, this next thing I'm about to say is exactly what would determine whether any of the strategies that I've taught you right now is going to work or not. In fact, I have been spilling a lot of strategies on my channel if you have been watching my previous videos. But this next thing will determine whether you even get noticed, even get hired, even get booked for an interview. So the first one is your LinkedIn profile. Yes, whether we like it or not, your LinkedIn profile is your salesperson. Do not follow the things that people are saying out there. Oh, LinkedIn is full of trash, yada 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 thing. If you actually believe it, then you're going to be missing out on great opportunities that actually coming through LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn profile is your salesperson. I'm going to keep repeating this again, and you know this. So if your LinkedIn is immersed, I'm not looking about how many followers you have. No, even if you have 200 followers, it will still work for you. Even if you have 300, less than 1,000 followers, it is still going to work. What I'm talking about is the optimization, how clean, how active. Now, active does not mean posting 20 times a day or consistently throughout the week. It could be just once, it could be twice. But how optimized is it? Your experience section, your feature section, your about section, your headline title, what does it say? Now, if this client actually gets curious, maybe your application actually appeals and he gets curious, I'm like, okay, let me even check this person out. Are they going to say anything? Now, anything does not mean a post that is, doing numbers. Are they actually going to say something that will convince them to say, this person is worth a chance? Now, the second thing is your resume or your CV. Okay, so I know that a lot of persons do not know the difference between a resume and a CV. Maybe now that I've mentioned it, you can actually look it up, but there's always a difference. And people make the mistake of submitting a CV where a job specifically states submit your resume. And people also make the mistake of submitting a resume where a job specifically states submit a resume or submit a CV. So you see, so you need to always know the difference and make sure you have the two backed up somewhere that you can always, put out. So whether you like it or not, your resume, your CV is your positioning packet. So how you package it, how you actually optimize it or get it done would also determine whether that application that you dumped on the person's inbox and you have actually asked the person to go and check it out. Maybe you dumped the link or you embedded the PDF file itself. It would that resume, how optimized is it will determine whether the person goes ahead with it. And that is why it is good, or that is why I always talk about resume optimization. So you cannot use one resume for multiple jobs. At every point when you apply to a job, you need to reward your resume, you need to re-optimize it, you need to reverse engineer that resume to match the exact same job you're applying. So you can't be applying to an operations manager job that it is top notch, high level, and then you're using your customer or you're even using your virtual assistant skills. I'm not saying it does not correlate or it won't work, but there is a place for rewarding, tweaking it to make sure that it speaks the language of that particular job you want to apply to. Now, the third thing you also want to put into consideration, not into consideration, actually, you want to make sure that you get it right, is your portfolio. Yeah, a lot of people say, oh, portfolio. Is it that important? It's actually very, very important. So, your resume or your CV is actually where you tell, while your portfolio is where you show and you don't tell. So, your resume, you tell, in your portfolio, you show what you have told in your resume. So do you see the difference? And do you see how important it is for me? I have like over 5 portfolios if I'm not even wrong. I have one on Canva, I have one on Notion, I have one on Google Slides. Actually, even started making my portfolio with Google Slides before I migrated to Canva down to Notion, GitHub, and then I used Gamma, then I used what's NetLife. So I use literally every site that's available to make portfolios. So I can handle anyone at any point. Right? So your portfolio is actually something you should have handy and you can always send it over. Okay. So what I usually do with my portfolio, remember I said I have over 5. So I just look through the one that matches the exact same position of job I want to apply to, right? And I send it over. And if there is no one, I will just go ahead and tweak it, of course. So I could just tweak the portfolio title, the portfolio objective, the same way you have professional headline or professional summary in your resume or CV. You do have one, your portfolio, because I actually don't know how most of you even create your portfolios, but you're going to just have something that leads them on, you know, and then you change some of the, maybe like the tax you did. If you titled it, oh, I did XYZ for a client, and that tax actually speaks in regards to a virtual assistant, services. I'll reward it to say, oh, I did XYZ for a client, and then it will speak for an operations management manager's job. You see, so that is actually how I stand out. Mhm. Let me tell you something. People who are landing jobs consistently, that you see them talk about their jobs. I currently have four remote clients that I'm working with. Yeah, thanks to God, because He's always like my source, right? But at the same time, a lot of people who are landing jobs consistently are doing the boring things. Mm-mm. It's not boring, but are doing the things most people consider stress boring. Do you see how I just said I have over five portfolios? A lot of person would have considered that straight and would just go with one. And nothing is bad. But if you have the luxury of time, yeah, that is fine. So the thing is, because I'm this person that is always climbing a career ladder. I started off my freelancing career from being like a community manager, being moderation assistant, being social media manager, to ghostwriting, to virtual assistant. I climbed that to being an executive assistant. Now I work as an operations assistant. And I'm also going to keep climbing up the ladder till I become chief of staff and maybe head of, department or stuff like that. Yeah, it works. And all of these jobs that I've mentioned that I work are all remote. You can see my workstation behind me, and I'm going to keep upgrading it as time goes by. But that is not even like the content of this message. So what are we talking about stay hiring? Now, one beautiful thing about stay hiring, the competition is fierce, it is high. So you need to do the things that a lot of persons are not even thinking about. You need to do the things that people are not ready to do. That is how you stand out. And so yes, stillhiring.com is another tool, another platform to add to your job strategy in 2026 and beyond. Yes, don't just rely on one platform. I don't. All four clients actually came from different platforms. One on Upwork, one on LinkedIn, one through agency, and one through a job site. Can you see? Spread your wings. So use LinkedIn, use company's career page, use Facebook groups, use outreach methods. Make sure you're positioned. And I've actually talked about another platform that where I get jobs. But recently, I've not really, maybe I say I've not really been applying, right? There is getmagic.com, there's Top Talent, there's Talent Pop. All of these platforms actually still work, and they don't discriminate between Africans and people who are not Africans. They hire from anywhere. Once you have the skills and the experience, they're going to get you on board. And that's about it on today's video. So let me know. Let's have a conversation in the comments. So if you would like me to share more websites that are actively hiring or the ones that I've used successfully and has worked for me and my strategy, let me know in the comments and I'll make the video for you, my loves. Okay, so again, do it to subscribe to my channel, like, comment, share. I'm always big on sharing, so share with someone who you think is going to benefit from this one.